All right, I have become a small fan of making these little slice of life videos where you guys just kind of watch me do what I do, when I do what I do, how I do what I do. And that's what I'm doing right now. If that made any sense to you all, I congratulate you for being fluent in my tongue. I got laundry. I saw somebody post something on Facebook that their New Year's resolution was to take the laundry out of the dryer the day that the dryer stops doing its thing instead of several days later. That is most certainly not a goal that I will hold myself to because it's not a goal that I find myself ever succeeding at. I am terrible about running the dryer or the washer or both. Well, I'm getting a lot better about running the washer and at least getting the clothes out of the washer into the dryer. But I did have a couple of episodes there where I forgot and I had musty, gross clothes just chilling in the washer. So then, of course, I had to rewash them all and do that whole bit again. But I'm getting better at that. But then, like, once they're clean, I just leave them in the dryer. Like, what's the point of folding them and hanging them up and all that? I can just use them from the dryer, right? That's the thing. Well, it is a thing, and it's a dangerous thing because it keeps me from actually doing things productively. But that's just the reality that we live in. And I tell myself that if I had all the time in the world, or at least if I just had my own time back to me, that I would be able to better manage these sorts of things. Because right now, present tense, I don't have my own time to myself. I spend a lot of time at work doing things that I'd much rather not be doing. And so then when I get home, I'm either devoting my time to my creative adventures, or I am doing something else, or I'm just winding down and trying to have fun. Some combination of all of those things. And what that means to me, or what that means for me, is that I fall behind on all the things that I didn't do. And like uploading videos is a key part of that. I am trying to stay a month ahead of myself in that if it's the 15th of January, then I should have videos uploaded through the 15th of February, which I do have that going for me right now, which is good. But like, there's no reason why I shouldn't be way ahead of schedule on that. I have tons of videos, and it only takes me a couple of hours to push them out. But I'm also a busy individual who has like other things going on with his life, so it's not like I can spend the entirety of a day just doing that. Plus, like, even if I had a whole day at my disposal to just upload videos, I would not be able to do that purely for a whole day. And I think the other problem is I create goals for myself. I tell myself, okay, if you can at least catch up to where we are at this month, then you're doing good. And so for myself, I reach my goal, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. And usually I don't tell myself I'm done. Usually say, okay, I can take a break now. And then that break turns into me never going back to that original project. And so that is one of my biggest kryptonites. Is like, well, it's a kryptonite and it's not a kryptonite at the same time. I set goals for myself, which is great, creates awesome productivity and accountability. But then, like, when I reach said goal, I don't work to exceed the goal, if that makes sense. I achieve the goal that I set out to achieve, and then I'm done. I don't have to worry about that thing anymore. It's out of sight, out of mind. And that, I believe, is my downfall of goal creation. And so I didn't think I had that much clothes here on the floor, but I've just about filled up an entire load of laundry with floor clothes at this point. so goes to show that I'm gonna have to do more laundry after I get home. And that's the other thing, like the amount of, or how easily it is for one's time to be consumed is rather upsetting, honestly. My time, like, I'm gonna set out to do something at 2 o'clock, and then I will be lucky to have had it completed by the end of the day. And it's just bizarre to me how quickly that time goes. Like, I'm doing something today at 2, and I'm sure that I won't get back until probably closer to 6 or 7 tonight, at which point in time I will then not feel like doing anything because it's so late at night. So I'll probably queue up the Xbox and Xbox with some friends, and then do that until beddy bye time. And then hopefully tomorrow I feel motivated enough after work to upload some more videos. I also need to continue pegging away at my brother Kanan. I got my first extra chapter done in that book, which feels pretty good, but I still have like a chapter or two to finish yet. And so I've got a good chunk of time left on that to work on. I was talking to one of my editors, and she penciled me in for March. And so hopefully in March I can be done with the second draft of my brother Kanan, and I can send that to her, get her thoughts and opinions on it, and then I'll probably still send it to the other editor who saw it the first time, just because I feel like seeing things in their entire completion is a nice thing for people to be able to do. And so it's like he saw this project in draft 1. He gave me a lot of suggestions on how to make it better. I followed a lot of them. I created a lot of my own concepts. And so it's just interesting for me. I can tell that it really has been a long time since I emptied the dryer, because I've got shorts in here and it is -4 degrees today, and I cannot remember the last time that I wore a pair of shorts. It's at least been since October. But at any rate, back to what I was talking about. I hope that I can get my book in the hands of both of my editors. Like I said, the other editor, hopefully she can see it at least once, and then hopefully I can get it back to that editor, and I really just need thoughts and opinions at that point in time, and then from there hopefully gear up for an October publication. And maybe I will decide to wait. Maybe I will decide that October is entirely too soon to publish this book, and I'll publish it at the top of next year. But at any rate, I need to stay productive in that realm, whilst also remaining productive in this one as well. I always say that, like, the 3-day the 3 days off model is so much better than the 4-day off model. And I really wish that I could convince my employer to let me work 4/10s instead of letting me work 5/8, because having that third free day really does optimize my productivity. Like, I got so much done over this small little window of time, and then I've got to hope that I can match some of that productivity when I go back to work. And that's the problem is, and I always go back to Brandon Sanderson because I really do think he's got a lot of really cool teachings. But he talks about how if you are a writer, one of the best things that you can have is a dead-end job that is thoughtless. He's like, thoughtless work is great for writers because you spend all your working time thinking about your writing project, and then when you get home, your brain's already thought about it and it knows what it needs to write, and you can just go into what I call a flow state a lot easier. And I couldn't agree more. When I was working evenings at my work, doing that initially, I was knocking out an incredible amount of writing, and that's why the work that I did was thoughtless, and I was doing well. If you compare me against other individuals in the organization, I was doing like 12 hours worth of work in 6. But at any rate, I'm not going to go down that road. I was getting all my work done in 6 hours, and then I would sit down and spend the remainder of the night writing on my book, or thinking about my book, or thinking about writing, or whatever it was I needed to do. And that gave me ample time and opportunity to work on my projects. I have since moved up in the company, and although I am making a much more generous paycheck these days, I'm also thinking a lot harder at work every day. And so when I get home from work, my mind's pretty well drained from just thinking about things all the time. And so it makes it harder for me to commit time to just writing stuff down because my brain is all consumed, and it's like, ugh, I've already thought about things for 3 hours today. I don't want to think about any more things. And it's just like, okay, well, unfortunately, I'm not going to succeed if I don't think about things, so I kind of have to think about things. And that is the unfortunate balance that I have to maintain. And it also makes it difficult to do like social things and to be a social individual. Having any sort of social life is demanding on your time. And like, I am not so far gone that I feel like I could succeed without a social life. Like, I know a lot of very successful people do that. At least for a period of time, they will shut out social distractions and will just shell up inside themselves and just knock out massive creativity. And I don't think that I have that same capability. Like, I am a social person, and to a large degree, actually, I should give this more credit than I do, but to a large degree, just like spending time with friends and people who are removed from the creative situation is a necessary reset for me. And even if that's something as simple as just like hopping on Xbox and talking to my Xbox friends for an hour or something, that is a necessary reset, because I reach a point in the creative process inevitably where I've kind of had it and I'm done. I've reached my level of completion in this current state, and I'm not going to be looking to go any further anytime soon. And so at that point, I usually will turn to Xbox and hit up some buddies of mine. We'll play some thoughtless, mindless games, and we'll have a good time. And then rinse and repeat tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And as long as I'm making progression towards my goals, I'm doing good. Now, granted, if I didn't spend that hour on Xbox playing and talking and resetting, then maybe perhaps I could be more productive with that hour time used elsewhere. But I also could just burn out, and a burnout is much worse than a couple hours of productivity, because a burnout could lead to several months of inactivity, and that's not good either. I have, on the Healers 3 book, I've had several burnouts on that book, and part of it is just because I am not as excited about that book that I once was. Like, it was the bread, or it still is, the bread and butter of the Healers franchise. If and when I get around to writing and finishing that project, it will be the best book in the franchise. I have no doubt about that. The issue is I just don't have the same kind of thrill to write in the third person that I used to. And so with that being said, I'm going to go check on the laundry because I feel like it's not making any noise. Okay, yeah, it's making noise. Anyway, so with that being said, I don't have the same kind of drive to write that book that I once did, and I got very significantly far in it the last time I wrote on it, and my power went out and I lost all my progress, and that was pretty well it for me. I haven't touched it since, and it sucks. And I know that eventually I just gotta buckle up, Buttercup, and get over it. But right now, I've got several other projects much closer to completion that I can be working on. Like, I don't want to pick that project back up until my brother Kanan is done. And then I realistically should not start another project until Healers 3 is done. And then I need to get back into holding myself accountable for that. I used to never start multiple projects at a time. And so like when I first got into the world of creation, I did do that, and I did it a lot, and it was a problem. And as anyone who's created anything can probably attest to, it's the best way to kind of screw yourself over from a creative standpoint, because you're working on project A, and then project B comes along and it's a new shiny project, and now all of a sudden, oh boy, all I care about is project B, and then project A gets abandoned, and then project C comes along, and you're like, whoop, here's another shiny new project. All I want to do is project C, and then now you have projects A and B who have been abandoned, and like forget about it if you find a project D in all of this. And so I told myself, like, I will make notes of projects that pop up in my head as I'm working other projects, but I will not start another project until I have finished the previous one that I was working on. And so I need to get back into that. I haven't like abandoned it fully, but like technically I've started Healers 3 a long time ago. But the thing of it is Healers 3 was never like the primary project that I was working on. It was always something secondary. And so because of that, it never got the level of attention that it maybe should have. And so now that I have finished the other books that have acquired my attention, or that have acquired or obtained, or however I want to say it, now that I've finished the other books that I'm working on, or that I've been working on, I can finally say, okay, it is time now to work on Healers 3. So we'll see how that goes, but like, if I'm not looking to publish, what's the book? If I'm not looking to publish My Brother Kanan until October, that means that like, unless I knock out a serious chunk of Healers 3 while My Brother Kanan is being edited, I'm probably not ever going to see, or I'm not going to see it done this year for sure. And that's like another wild thing to try and conceptualize. The fact that I'm like so behind on my books and my novels and stuff, that like when I add a project to the burner, I have to like figure out, okay, what year is this project realistically going to actually come out? Because like, yeah, I can add. And that's what I have two other books that I'm really excited about. One of which I started while we were driving to Florida, and I got a decent amount of progress on that one. That one is the next one in the If Ghosts Could Cry universe, and so it's like I want to keep that going to keep it relevant. And that book, I don't know, it could be a very long time before it's actually conceptualized, because it's got now two other books in front of it. Like, I've got to finish Healers 3, and I've got to finish My Brother Kanan. And then after Healers 3 is Imperfect Strangers, which is the name of that book. The next book that I invest my time into, or do I invest my time into another book? I don't know. And that is just yet another struggle that I have to face, is how to divide my time properly to where I'm getting the most bang for my buck. And so hopefully I just figure it out and I get everything working, and it's awesome possum sauce, and that would be good. But there's really no way to know until you're there in the thick of it and you're like, okay, here I am, this is where I stand, this is where I want to be, let's get there. And until I'm making those kinds of moves, I may not be going anywhere anytime fast. But I'm still determined to go somewhere at some speed and eventually get where I'm trying to go. And I continually have to remind myself that I published my first book in 2020. It's only been 4 years now. Like, I keep pressuring myself to succeed. It's like, okay, it hasn't been a super long amount of time. I feel like Brandon Sanderson says it took him 7 years to like reach a point of success in his career, and I've just been kind of using all of his benchmarkers as my own benchmarkers. And so if I haven't made it to the 7th year yet, then I think I'm good. And I've got what'll be very soon 5 books on the market, and so just keep pumping them out, keep making them, and keep getting places. I think that's it for this video. It's a shorter one, not as long as the last laundry video I did, but I put the laundry in the laundry, I folded the laundry, I hung up the laundry, and I've got other obligations today. So I am going to go ahead and call it. Thank you all for your time, and I'll see you again sometime.